Honorable members, I will now ask the secretary to read the third order.
Consideration of Pension Funds Amendment Bill and of Report of Standing Committee on Finance on amendments proposed by National Council of Provinces.
Thank you. I will now ask the Honorable Abraham to introduce the report.
Thank you, House Chair. As I present the report, I wish to congratulate the chairperson of the committee for having obtained a PhD, which he will receive tomorrow. Chair, today is an important day as Parliament will be adopting the Pension Fund Amendment Bill. The current ANC government will provide comfort to millions of highly indebted workers in both the public and private sector. Workers will be able to access limited portions of their pensions without having to resign from their jobs, nor cash out the entire fund. According to COSATU, the two-pot system will help heal the workers' financial wounds. The ANC cares about the plight of workers. The Standing Committee on Finance, having considered the Pension Funds Amendment Bill, referred to it, reports that the bill with amendments has been considered. The main focus of this report is on technical amendments. The Pension Funds Amendment Bill was tabled in Parliament by the Minister of Finance on the 30th January 2024, and it is a Section 75 bill of the Constitution. NCOP's report on the bill was adopted by this House on the 22nd of March. The National Assembly referred the bill to the NCOP. The NCOP adopted the bill with amendments. The amended bill was subsequently referred to SCOF to consider the proposed technical amendments to the bill. The committee was briefed on the proposed technical amendments to the bill on the 10th of May 2024. The proposed technical amendments to the bill, these detailed proposed technical amendments aim to refine language, clarify definitions, and ensure consistency across provisions within the bill. Each proposed change addresses specific sections and provisions to enhance the overall effectiveness and coherence of the legislative text. Clause 1 amendments, for example, after line 10 on page 2, the definition of beneficiary fund will be substituted to clarify its reference. The revised definition specifies that a beneficiary fund means a fund referred to in paragraph C or D of the definition of pension fund organization. In line 56 on page 10, a fund has been replaced with pension fund consent. After line 55 on page 11, insert the following. The pension fund consent may not permit a member to take a savings withdrawal benefit where there is a maintenance order or a written notification from the maintenance investigating officer against pension fund consent in place, unless it is satisfied that the withdrawal will not result in there being insufficient remaining value to comply with the order of the written notification. Clause 10 amendments in line 20 on page 12. After, until, insert finalization of the divorce or until. In line 21 on page 26, on page, I'm sorry, in line 21 to 26 on page 16, omit 5, which says the designation retirement fund may, subject to court order, authorizing the suspension of a saving withdrawal, suspend savings withdrawal benefit where it is aware that proceedings relating to a maintenance order against the designated retirement fund are pending, and the withdrawal may result in there being insufficient remaining value to comply with the pending order if granted. The committee agrees with the amendments proposed as reflected in C list of the bill. The committee reports the bill with amendments. I move that the report be adopted for a better life for all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, honorable member. I now recognize the honorable chief whip of the majority party.
Ke a leboha modulasetulo, ke itsisinya hore ntlo ena e amohele tlaleho ena e pase this bill. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I now recognize political parties wishing to make a declaration. The usual times for declarations would apply. DA?
Thank you, Chairperson. We're here today to discuss the matter that has been under careful consideration by the Finance Committee since May 2020, the two-part pension fund reform. It must be acknowledged that the amendments to the pension fund regulation will have far-reaching impacts on our financial system, from the investment practices to risk management, retirement planning, and overall economic stability. This reform represents a progressive compromise, striking a fair balance between the needs of hardworking individuals and the need for a sound financial system. Individuals will have access to their savings portions of their pension fund while continuing to plan for their retirement. It is no secret that South Africans are burdened with crippling debt, exacerbated by sluggish economy growth, rising living costs, and the responsibility of supporting extended family members in a society grappling with a staggering 41.9% unemployment rate. Our current pension laws were inflexible, limiting the individual's access to their hard-earned savings until retirement, job loss, or resignation. As a result, far too many people were forced to choose between financial ruin and unemployment, resigning to cash out their entire pension funds and leaving them with no safety net for the future. While the Finance Committee and Treasury can be commended of getting this bill to this stage, the saying goes, one swallow does not make a summer. Financial stability is not merely a matter of economic concern, it is the cornerstone of this nation's well-being. But as investments dwindle, hindered by policy uncertainty and infrastructure deficiencies such as rolling blackouts and regulatory restrictions in key sectors, these all threaten the path to recovery, jeopardizing our ability to address pressing needs in education, healthcare, and social development, affecting the livelihoods of all South Africans, from the factory worker to the small business owner, from the farmer to the student dreaming of a bright future. Yet we cannot ignore the stark realities facing our nation. Corruption, state capture, cadre deployment, and anti-growth policies have eroded the foundation of our economy, leaving us in a precarious position. Our currency is in free fall, our credit rating in tatters, and our people feel the brunt of this for our government's incompetence. We have witnessed the erosion of our country's economic foundation and of corruption, mismanagement, and self-interest that has taken precedence over the welfare of the citizens. It can be said, or it could be said, that the ANC liberated this country over 30 years ago, but is now synonymous with disappointment and disillusionment. Our economy has faltered, our institutions have been weakened, and our people are suffering. Despite the promises of prosperity and progress, we find ourselves in a myriad of a quagmire of debt, unemployment, and inequality. But perhaps the most damning of all is the human cost of this government's failure. Millions of South Africans languish in poverty, denied the opportunity to build a better life for themselves and their family. Marikana, Life Isidimeni, and the July riots, they are not mere incidents, but a glaring manifesto of government neglect and the disregard for human life. While reform has been introduced to try and address historical imbalances and improve public financial health, the reality on the ground tells a different story. The current government may try to deflect the blame by pointing fingers at the external factors or historical injustices, but the truth is plain for us all to see. The ANC's own actions, or their lack thereof, have led us to this point. It is time for a new vision, new leadership, and a new direction for South Africa. It is time to put the interest of the people ahead of the patronism of politics and personal gain. It is time to rebuild this nation from the ground up. It is time to rescue South Africa. Let's illuminate the path towards a brighter future for all South Africans. The DA supports this bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. The EFF.
Thank you, Chairperson. In support of this bill, the Economic Freedom Fighters views the proposed amendments to the Pension Funds Act as crucial opportunities to reshape South Africa's pension landscape in accordance with our core principles. The introduction of the savings withdrawal benefit must be such that it prioritizes the interests of the workers and ensure their economic security. The EFF advocates for equitable access to this benefit for all members, ensuring that it serves as a lifeline for individuals without discrimination or exploitation by financial institutions. The implementation must prioritize the welfare of workers above profit-driven motives. Transparency and fairness in accounting for members' interests in savings, retirement, and vested components are non-negotiable. The EFF assesses that robust accountability measures and oversight are imperative to prevent any mismanagement or misallocation of pension funds. Members deserve complete visibility to the handling of the investment of their contributions to safeguard their financial futures upon retirement. Furthermore, stringent regulations of deductions is essential to safeguard the value of pension funds against exorbitant fees and charges. The EFF advocates for imposition of caps on such fees, ensuring that the lion's share of contributions directly benefit members rather than lining the pockets of financial institutions pursuing profit at the workers' expense. In addition to these specific amendments, the EFF calls for sweeping reforms to rectify systemic injustices entrenched within the pension schemes. These include addressing historical exclusions and facilitating broader access to pension schemes for marginalized groups, including informal and precarious workers whose contributions are often overlooked. Central to our vision is the establishment of a national pension fund collectively owned and managed by the workers. This model ensures democratic control over pension assets and decisions redirecting the focus towards societal benefit rather than serving narrow corporate interests. Empowering workers through ownership and control of their pension fund is paramount in fostering economic freedom and social justice. The EFF believes in seizing the opportunity to address the immediate needs of workers while simultaneously advocating for broader economic transformation. We recognize and support the urgency and relief provided by the amendments, but remain steadfast on our commitment to fundamentally restructuring the sector to prioritize the needs of the people over profit. Through transformative policies and bold initiatives, we as the EFF aim to build a truly just and equitable society where every South African can thrive. Borrowing from your future is the last option that could have been avoided if we didn't have this inept ANC government that destroyed our economy. 29th May is around the corner. Vote wisely to install a caring, thoughtful, and energetic EFF government. We support the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. IFP.
Thank you very much, Honorable House Chairperson. I'll be making an input on behalf of my Deputy President, Nkosi Mzamo Buthelezi. House Chairperson, the IFP has previously stated that this bill shows us exactly how the current government needs to do more in safeguarding the interests and well-being of our people. The desperation people are feeling because of the state of our economy is evidenced by the very existence of this bill. This bill intends to grant citizens the ability to borrow from their pensions during financial distress without having to retire. As we have stated before, the IFP is against this course of action, but we understand that our people find themselves trapped in poverty. The bill is a clear indictment, therefore, on the ruling party's failure to provide decent employment opportunities to our people. It is common cause that the whole point of retirement annuity is to safeguard people's livelihoods well into their most advanced years, when they can no longer participate in economic activities. For the government to seek to advance into law legislation that gives people an opportunity to access these funds ahead of retirement may seem noble in its intentions, but in the long run, it might yield disastrous outcomes. As the IFP, we believe it is time for a new government, a government that will ensure that our citizens are able to save for rainy days. The IFP after 29 May will lead a government that will stand ready to rebuild South Africa and the economy. The IFP will lead a government that truly cares for its people, one that will put South Africans first. That having been said, we support this report before us. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honourable Member. FF plus,
No declaration, House Chair. Thank you.
thank you. ACDP.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, the focal point of the Pension Laws Amendment Bill is the two-part retirement system, and the primary objective is to provide flexibility for fund members to access their retirement savings during emergencies without necessitating resignation. Now, traditional retirement systems primarily focus on long-term savings, often lacking that adaptability. And this has sadly resulted in many people facing financial crises resigning in order to access those retirement savings with drastic financial consequences in the long term. And this pension reform seeks to strike that correct balance, and it permits fund members to access a portion of their savings. And this is very positive. The ACDP has also looked at the amendments that have been proposed by the NCOP, and we support those amendments which are largely technical of nature to improve the bill as a whole. The ACDP is also concerned about the whole issue of our economy, given the fact that pension funds and pension, many of them are also supported on the stock exchange with national treasury bonds, and that impacts on those investments in the long term as well, and of course on workers, as has been indicated earlier. And lastly, of course, as many others have said, the ACDP believes that far more could be done to stimulate economic growth and stimulate more employment, which would not require workers to have to resign. And we believe, as many of others have said, that it is time for change and it is time to vote for the ACDP. Having said that, we support the report. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Swart. UDM. UDM. ATM. Good. NFP.
The NFP noted the report of the Finance Standing Committee on the amendment proposed by the NCOP. These amendments were mainly about pension funds, changing their rules to accommodate the two-pot system, which comes into effect on 1 September. We believe that the two-pot system proposal introduces a significant change to the retirement system in the country. We also welcome the broad principles and aims of the system. We believe that it is within the South African interest to start leasing the burden of old age pension grant in the fiscus. We should be encouraging our people to save their retirement, subsidize those who do, and protect those who have pension funds. Our social budget is already not fit for the purpose. Our social development budget is already not fit for the purpose, although the state now is spending 2,185 for over 4 million beneficiaries. In 1994, when South Africa became a democracy, the country paid a grant of about 2.5 million people, mostly old age grant, disability grant, and state maintenance grant. Today, the South African Social Security Agency pays 26 million grants a month. Surely, as political parties, we can all agree that we need to reduce dependence on the state. Yes, we need to support the vulnerables much better than we are currently, but overall dependence on the state needs to be reduced significantly to release the savings and redirect those funds towards initiative that will ensure job growth, economic growth, and development. Perhaps if we start regulating the withdrawals of pension fund, we may release savings from paying fewer beneficiaries for all people. Therefore, we welcome the pension fund amendment bill as amended, as proposed by the NCOP.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. AIC. COPE. PAC. Al-Jama.
Thank you, Honorable House Chair. Honorable House Chair, how can you expect a person who retires at 60 years to live on 25% of the money that he used to earn? We just recently passed the elder person's bill, but these amendments are going to harm people when they reach the age of 60 and they have drawn from their pension fund. I know what I'm talking about. I was a trustee for Nestle and for Naspers for nearly 30 years. This is going to cause so much hardships, and all Al-Jama can ask, let us soften the blow. When people withdraw some of their money that they provided for their pensions, it must not be taxed. Secondly, there must be provision that they pay back the money without interest so that they don't retire with 25% of their salary, but with much more. However, Al-Jama will support this bill, but more work needs to be done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Hendricks. ANC.
The ANC supports the amendments made by the NCOP to the pension funds amendment bill, which are not substantial and do not undermine the essence of what the bill seeks to achieve in any way. The ANC-led government has long introduced legislative and regulatory measures that provide relief for the indigent, the working class, and the middle structure of our country. Through various legislative reforms, we have entrenched worker rights protection, advanced a minimum wage to ensure workers can meet the basic needs required to live a decent life. We have enacted transformative legislation that sought to change the face and structure of our economy through broad-based Black economic empowerment, employment equity, National Empowerment Fund Act, which has been disbursed over 10 billion to support the 1,000 Black-owned businesses country-wide to start up expansion and equity transformation. Through employment equity, we have fundamentally transformed the essence of the public service. Many Black people continue to enjoy preferential appointments and senior positions and influential positions in the private sector as a result of these legislative reforms to transform our society. The DA want to scrap affirmative action and Black economic empowerment because and reverse the gains ANC has made in changing the lives of Black and African people. To them, Black and African is associated with incompetence and corruption. To illustrate the real agenda of the DA, let's consider some of the facts. The percentage of people working in the public service are 82.38% Blacks, 8.59% coloreds, and 6.65% whites, and 2.28% Asian. 12,728 are persons with disabilities, broken down within 54.57% females, 45.43% males. Africans occupy senior management positions at 44.3%, where women and 55.7% were men. These are advances made as a result of the legislative reforms to transform the economy and the public service through affirmative action and BEE, which the DA wants to reverse. The people of South Africa will not allow this. The new two-pot retirement savings regime is not different from the many legislative reforms the ANC has introduced since 1994, which will bring some flexibility and relief to South Africans who have contributed to a private or employer retirement scheme and who at times find themselves needing accesses to some of their own retirement savings. The ANC-led government has, in its responsiveness, created hope for workers by enabling workers the ability to access their retirement service when they need it most. The Pension Funds Amendment Bill provides a lifeline to the families facing financial distress and uncertainty, whether it is to cover medical expenses, pay off debts, or simply put food on the table. The ability to tap into their retirement savings will give them much needed peace of mind. However, the benefits of this bill extend far beyond just providing relief and in times of crisis. By empowering workers to access their retirement savings, we also unleash a wave of economic activities that has the potential to stimulate growth and prosperity across our nation, whether it be through investment in small businesses, home improvements, educational opportunities, or the inclusion of retirement savings into the economy promises to create jobs, steer innovation, and drive sustainable development for years to come. While our country is on the road to recovery, we need to ensure that we protect workers' equality for life. And this bill will ensure that workers can live the lives they work for and deserve. Some workers are drowning in debt, a rising cost of living, repo rate hikes, and employers who do not comply with the minimum wage requirements. The amendments of the pension fund laws offer workers a positive balance. While the savings withdrawal will not be enough to settle home or car loans, the withdrawal will be equivalent to a 13 check for most workers and help settle short-term debt and other urgent financial needs. Over time, this will help heal workers' financial wounds. These reforms will help boost savings in the longer term as workers will no longer be resigning to cash out their entire pension funds, but will rather access their savings pot instead. In conclusion, the adoption of the Pension Funds Amendment Bill represents a significant step forward in the ANC-led government's ongoing effort to promote inclusive economic growth and financial inclusion and relieve the burden of financial distress on workers. By embracing these reforms, we reaffirm our commitment to the well-being of all South Africans and lay their foundation for a more equitable and prosperous future for generation and generation to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. Are there any objections to the motion as moved by the Chief Whip of the majority party that the bill as amended be passed? No objections agreed to. The bill will be sent to the President for assent.